Welcome back to another episode of Every Cloud with me, Ferne McCann, the show where each week I'm joined by one of our resident experts and a very special guest where they will be sharing their transformative experiences from the darkest clouds all the way to the silver lining moments. And today I'm joined by the lovely Anna Jackson.
Hello.
This week we have got an absolute powerhouse of a guest. She is a performance coach and an author. It's Annalie Howling. Welcome to Every Cloud, Annalie. It's so lovely having you here with us. Here is
so excited.
Resident expert Anna Jackson. So for anyone who might not follow you on social media or know who you are, who is Annalie Howling in your own words?
Oh, thank you. Well, first and foremost, mummy, single mum, been through divorce. That's sort of one of the things I talk very openly about. So I love the name of your podcast and the opportunity to talk about these things I'm sure we'll cover. I'm a therapist, sort of trauma-informed. I work around it with EMDR, particularly for PTSD. I work with sort of very elite athletes, a lot of people you do know and would have heard of, and then just really beautiful human souls that have endured things that they should never have had to. So that's kind of my day job, if you like, and then author of my amazing book, which I'm sure we'll touch on today. And just, I feel like my book is all about shame, and it's unapologetic, unshackle your shame, reclaim your power. And I turned 44 in July, and I really, really feel, to be honest, like unhinged, but I feel so shameless. Like all the shame from my body that was in there for years is out. And I'm really excited about like this next phase of my life. And I kind of just want everyone to know that, I've been through it, right? I've been through it, and I'm sure we'll get into it, and let's go there, because I really want everyone else that's in the thick of the storm to be like, oh my God, there is hope and there is a way out.
Something I love as well about you is that you're a coach, but you also pull from so much of your personal experience, and it just really brings flavor and color to people struggling, and they can see not only have you kind of trained in that area, but you've been through it yourself. I just don't think there's anything that beats going through it yourself. And I'm not saying everyone who's a coach or a therapist has to have gone through things, but I just think there's nothing that beats personal experience, even if it's in a one particular area, but you can relate it to lots of different areas. And also just quickly on the shame thing, I really want to look at the difference between shame and guilt.
Oh yeah.
Because I love it.
I remember you had like a viral video. I think it was about friendships or reclaim your power or something like that, and it spoke directly to me, and that is such a gift. And for me, I think, I've had my ups and downs, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, to be able to share that on social media is challenging, and I've always had this block. And I feel like what you do on Instagram is just so people need it, and you do it with such like conviction. And your book, it can be, it looks like you, and can we just appreciate this?
When you walked in and gave this book, I was like, this is an extension of you.
Annalie has given us all signed copies, but the inside is leopard print.
Oh, yeah.
She's
I love it.
She's so sexy. And can we talk about the name? So it's unapologetic. Congratulations, by the way, on writing a book. And it was released in May. It's powerful. Unshackle your shame, reclaim your power. You speak a lot about shame. Why is that such an important topic for you?
So for me, and I think we'll probably really get into this, I've done coaching, I had a big corporate job, I had a massive burnout, I'm a child of extreme violence myself at the hands of my parents. We can go into all of this, by the way, there's nothing off limits. I self-harmed, it's all in my book. I was a coach and a therapist that self-harmed. I used to skim pick habitually. It's OCD, as you know. And I would do it twice a day in the shower.
Whilst you was a therapist or this?
Yeah.
So you'd be kind of in the therapy session with people who maybe had something similar or, and talking to them about it, but kind of knowing that you were also living out those behaviours as well.
I was someone that's helping people while I was harming myself.
Yeah.
Imagine the shame. And then twice, this was towards the breakdown of my marriage. I was having like extreme periods of very, very bad anxiety, because obviously the thing that is true, you don't want to be true. And then this is also on the back of a lot of the unhealed trauma that I'd been carrying, that I'd done a lot of work on.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd done the things, I'd started the path, I'd done the yoga retreats, I'd done the books. But there was something that just wasn't moving, and it wasn't getting close enough. And, and I was going through this period, very subconscious, as you know. I would come round in the shower. I'm just going to trigger warning this. So it's because it is about self-harm. I would come round in the shower and I'd have blood like all over my hands, and I've been clawing at my face, and I would do it, like I say, twice a day in like ritualized attacks. I write about this really, really honestly in the book. And part of the reason with the book title as it is, it's like the shame that I felt and needing to apologize to myself. And, this is my mid-late 30s. And then I think I've got bad skin, and I'm layering on makeup and a mask and more masks, and the
it's
shame.
that hiding it as well, isn't it? It's not only the doing of it, but it's also the hiding it.
It's the aftermath. It's absolutely the aftermath. And fundamentally, I had to learn something to heal my insides. And for me, it was the shame piece. I went on an EMDR training course.
What does that mean?
EMDR is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, and it's a particular trauma technique that we use to...
It's amazing. I send all my trauma patients, I send
for EMDR.
Really good.
I've never heard of this.
Really good. Do you know what? Talking therapy is amazing, because I think you do a lot of talking therapy, don't you? It's amazing.
I've only
but
ever
sometimes you need something else as well. And EMDR is, you're obviously better than me because you're trained in it, but you're using light and you're using eye movement to take the sting out of what's happened. So reduce the intense emotion of something that's been so traumatic, you can't even go back there in your brain, in your mind.
So, Annalie, can you give me an example of what you do with this?
So EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, is if we experience a traumatic event. Okay, I'm going to tell you about one. So when I was 7 years old, I had a very, very, like I say, violent childhood. And I had this very core memory, so shameful, of my father. He punched me in the face in a restaurant on a holiday when I was about 7. So my nose is gone, there's blood everywhere. My mother wasn't at dinner that night. And I was like somewhere in Spain. And I can remember looking around the room and sort of seeing families. There's all these people being like, almost like offering advice, like ice and a napkin. And this is what I can see. So I get back to the apartment, my mum is looking to my dad, this is not the first time, but they're looking to each other. And rather than offer me support or care, they were like, because boys had been sort of going through adolescence at school, they'd started to get like nosebleeds at school. And they were like, well, you did say you've never had a nosebleed before. A bit like, well, you did say you wanted a puppy for Christmas. Yes. And I was there, I'm 7, and I'm like, I know this, when I swear on this, I was like, I know this is really fucked up, but like, what can I do? This is the 80s, this is like late 80s. I'm like, I haven't got a phone, I haven't got any money. This is really messed up, but obviously I don't want to get hurt again. And the other underlying part of that was, he told me it was my fault. I made him do it. I was so bad. So I internalized that. That became my underlying limiting belief. I am bad. And then because I relived this trauma. I relived seeing his wedding ring coming towards my nose like every day for 30 odd years. And so any time that I found myself in a situation where I was in a bar and maybe things are going to get a bit nastier, I can feel like, or I'm in a friendship situation and I can feel that they maybe don't want to do what I want to do, or I'm in work and I don't feel comfortable with the situation, but I don't feel I can go there. It's not going to be the same level of conflict, but my system is starting to fire and the I am bad and the threat and the fear is coming on. And then there's other situations where maybe I want to try out for something, but I think I'm bad and I'm not good enough. So shame becomes this underlying limiting belief, which is so deeply rooted into your system.
So it's about getting to the root.
Exactly, because what can happen is it can be re-triggered in a number of different situations that don't seem relatable to the event, for example. So like I said, you could be, in a car park sort of waiting for space and feel like people being a bit antsy, like you're taking too long or something, and you just go, oh, and just leave, and you start finding yourself ordering groceries home. And then you start finding yourself avoiding certain times things might be busy, and you just find yourself living your life in a really different way. And that is this lens, this underlying limiting belief becomes a lens through which you see the world. So if I think I'm bad, the last thing on earth I want is for you to see my shame, because you're not going to want to be my friend or get to know me or anything.
Why would you? I'm bad.
Exactly.
Why would you want to be friends with someone who's bad?
I'm
or work
inherently
with someone who's bad.
Bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to be so goddamn perfect that I'm going to burn out. I'm going to people please. I'm going to like try and be a chameleon. Right, totally, absolutely fawning anytime there's anywhere close to anything that feels even remotely uncomfortable. I'm going to learn about your needs and how to balance that and never really express my own. So this is where this EMDR technique is so brilliant, because when we go into a trauma response, our prefrontal cortex, which is like times, dates, lists, offline, gone. I need to just get out of here alive. And the 5 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, we tend to know about. Flop, pass out on the spot. The last one, as you mentioned, is fawn. I always give this example. Let's just say we were out and about on the street and someone came up to me and really rude. And I would be like, ugh. And I'd probably get back here and you'd be like, you're right. And I'd have the perfect answer. And then you get back to a safe place, your car, the office, your home, and then you have the perfect response. Because again, your faculties are all back online together. When we do EMDR, we bring the 3 parts together of the brain. We have your prefrontal cortex, the broca's area or language. A lot of the time when someone's experienced trauma, they'll say, I don't remember what they said. You see the vision in silence a lot of the time, but I can remember what they wore, their aftershave. There's triggers at things that bring it up. So when we're doing EMDR, because it's bilateral stimulation, either with finger movement, tapping, a light, vibrating things if people don't want to use their eyes, you are retaining the prefrontal cortex stays online. So if you're using your rational part of your brain, you're using your emotional part of your brain, and that can bring all of your faculties together to finally discharge that memory away. So it never, ever, ever comes back. I struggle to remember that image in the restaurant with my father. Is how I can talk about it. And honestly, I literally watch it twice a day for years.
Wow. It's so powerful. And I don't think you can't do that with talking alone. You need something else. EMDR, or there's a few other things as well, but it's like a secret weapon. And I love that we're talking about it, because so many of my clients and patients, they don't know about it.
I'm thinking about this now. There's a situation in my life that I just can't get over and I can't break free from. No matter, I've had 7 years, I'm like a broken record.
Bless you.
Every episode I'm like 7 years of therapy. I have
7 years, 1 week.
years of successful therapy. I feel like I've completely changed to who I am now from even 5 years ago. But there's just one situation that, I'm grounded, I'm content, I feel good in myself. But there's this one thing that I just cannot move on from.
Nothing is too big or too small. Like, a lot of my clients will come in and they'll say, I don't know if you get this as well. I shouldn't be here because, you probably see people with far worse than me, and my issue is really a non-issue. If it affects you, it's an issue.
That shame again, telling you you're not even worthy.
Even my shame isn't worthy.
Or my trauma's not even worthy. So we just minimise. So you're not even whatever you've experienced is just not even worthy of being treated. Like, why are you here? Don't even bother. And that's shame winning again. So I love that you've raised that.
Yeah.
And do you find, and with what you do on social media and everything, is it mainly aimed at women? Everything that you speak about, do you feel like shame and how we mask it or maybe suppress it, do you think this is something that women typically do?
So it's funny, most of my private clients are men.
Oh, interesting.
Men like it a bit of the leopard print.
They love it. So here's the thing. I put out a post about me self-harming. I put it out last summer. So we're filming this in August, and I put out a post because it was the first time I was going for a facial in Chelsea, not far from here, to wonderful Sadaf. And it's not like one with gong baths and whale song and dark lighting. It was like the big scary light, and I had harmed my face, right? So I was feeling very vulnerable about it. And so classic me, I was like, what I should do is I should just put a post out and just say, look, I'm walking to this thing right now. I'm feeling quite vulnerable. I just want to share it. It's still on Instagram. I had so many comments. I do that. I burn my legs in the shower. I bite my fingers till they bleed. I pull my hair, but there's so many comments, unbelievable comments, including from therapists.
People do, because you wouldn't know. That's the thing. You don't know. People
but in answer
it.
to your question, I had the same, if not more, DMs, men. I do that. I thought I was going mad. I didn't know there was a name.
Okay, so it's real mix.
100%. And I think that, men are, so my audience is, I know the analytics, it is heavier female, but I do have a lot of men on there. And the men that I do are really, God love them, dedicated, and they're going through heartbreak. I have so many men that have been betrayed.
But what I think is interesting is that it almost takes a woman, like it takes you to have that vulnerability, to be unapologetic, to jump on your Instagram and completely express where you're at right now. And it almost opens the doors for women and men.
It does.
To express their vulnerability.
Yeah. I always have men on my retreats.
What's something that surprised you about something that you see a lot in men, or something that men say a lot that you maybe before you trained as a coach you wouldn't have thought?
I don't know if it's surprising or not. I mean, the 99, 100% of the time there's imposter syndrome, which you would see as well. So that's a very sort of common thing. But I think most men have kind of got a handle on the fact they know that it is imposter syndrome that they're struggling with. Maybe haven't got the tools for what to do. I think the majority of either messages or people that I end up working with and on the trauma that they've got, it's from betrayal. It's from betrayal.
Like different types of betrayal, partner betrayal, maybe a betrayal with a colleague at work.
It's betrayal though.
Betrayal in general.
Almost every single time at the end of the session, which is beautiful, it's the best part of my job, because people literally, I see the trauma come out. Like I see that, you'll know, because it's always stored.
So Annalie, let's get into your story.
Yeah, sure.
We follow a simple format on this show, which helps us to divide your transformative experience and how you've changed through each stage of your ups and your downs. Let's start with the storm. Talk us through a time in your life that you felt a storm brewing.
I mean, it would be when I was sort of separating from my husband. So self-harming, chronically, including at some point subconsciously, until going to my own therapist and realizing that I never felt safe to relax. So any kind of relaxation wasn't safe for me, hence the attempt to discharge stress and removing the mask.
And pain, getting just wanting the pain gone.
Yeah.
And it was an outlet.
So I would say that would be a really difficult time. And then we separated in January of 2020. Then straight into lockdown, homeschooling, single parent. I obviously don't see my parents because of my violence, so no family support from me either. And, going through lawyers and things like that and the business tanking. So it was kind of like, it was everything. I always say it was never one.
That's so triggering, isn't it? Like I have had an experience that I've never shared. Don't think I can, but I think one of the most triggering things I've ever experienced in my life today is when I get an email from my lawyer.
Babe, I talk about that on my retreats.
And
as soon as you see that, because there's a file number,
it has. I haven't overcome that. It has been horrendous.
My lawyers don't send me the email now, just so you know. And I'd like to offer that to everyone.
What's the fear?
Because it's always written in very aggressive language. It's designed to trigger you. By the way, my divorce lawyer is in my book. And I did this interview because I was like, I think, Mark, people are in relationships that maybe they don't feel that we'd like to be because they're afraid of shame being weaponized in the divorce process. And he was like, 100%. And then obviously he's got clients even asking him to put a certain word in, push on something that they know is going to trigger that person, a particular vulnerability. And I'm like, it's such a difficult thing. I mean, I can speak about it from the divorce side of things. Like this person that you're going to love, honor and obey, you're suddenly in this, like, now we're going to use the most intimate things we shared to betray one another. And they pour through your finances. You have to do disclosure on every single account you've ever had, like, and everyone questioning you and calling you things. Like I wanted to sort of round on about your mentioning people not going for help. I went for EMDR after my court date because the barrister on the other side was so appalling to me. My whole team were like, because he was just pointing, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And I was just like,
is that allowed?
I mean, you can't speak
I've been
either.
in a courtroom, but
you don't, this is online.
Oh.
It was a PFDR. But that's what I mean. I want to not minimize people's experience. It was that traumatic to me and I knew what had happened. I knew it had gone in my system. I knew, thank God I've got the tools, the resources, my therapist, that I had to go and get EMDR for that because otherwise it was going to start really, really, really taking roots and affecting me again. And I was like, I can't deal with this.
So you're going through a divorce and you then immediately go into lockdown, looking at your new future. You're now a single parent and navigating your new normal.
And no idea what that's going to be because obviously we're on lockdown and we had no control over anything then. So you don't know, where am I going to live? How am I going to live? How is she and I going to live? Will I ever find happiness again?
So literally a ton of uncertainty. Like every single thing that you thought, well, did you think it was certain at the time?
I knew the divorce was, but I didn't know, my business is tanking. It was more like, it was
everything.
More, we didn't know how the world was going to be, right? So, and I'd never experienced, I'd had a little bit of anxiety before. I'd never had anxiety before. And I started doing the jaw clenching that would wake myself up in the night. I had to have Botox put in my jaw to stop me doing it.
So yours came out really physically, didn't it? Your shame and your pain came out in so many different physical ways.
Yeah.
Did it also come out with the worrying, with the overthinking, with the obsessing? Did it come out in the mind as well as the body?
I would think that I was probably, it did spill over, like I said, sort of that would probably be what's waking me up at night, is clearly it's going and it's, overflowing from the short term and pulling out. But it was much more, you're right, I'm very kind of somatic.
It really came out in your body, didn't it?
Yeah.
What was the darkest cloud for you? When was the moment when you hit rock bottom almost?
I would say it was sort of a little while after that. Let's lovingly call him the French bastard. And okay, I would say it was a little while
I need information.
Yeah, listen. And I would say it was sort of, that was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, if you like.
Tell us about the French bastard. I'm so intrigued.
I mean, like, it could have been a scene from Pretty Woman, being picked up in beautiful cars at La Gare du Nord and all the things. And
French Richard Gere.
Literally, that would be my sort of first major experience with someone kind of telling you a lot of things and them not stacking up, shall we say. So that was just, I think I probably hadn't had the opportunity because of lockdowns and other things to start really grieving and integrating the end of my marriage, although it was my decision. I think I'd sort of been so busy in the doing, human doing over human being. And then, had met this person, totally swept off my feet. I can look back now and be like, I was this broken little bird and he was like, brilliant.
Oh, that's when they find you.
Low-hanging
when
fruit.
You're most vulnerable. And
when a certain type of person finds you,
But it was almost cookie cutter in the, if it happened now, I'd be like, obviously not.
What made it so dark?
It was so intense. I believed he had switched lights on in me that, I thought were gone forever. And of course, that was always within me. Of course, it was me all along, but I maybe hadn't found the places to, I live that authentically and unapologetically now every day. But yeah, in that moment or those moments, I thought it was him. And it was so intense. It was so, everything just moved so fast.
Is the French guy someone that you met after your divorce?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So but it was this like, you kind of think, oh, wow, this is it. This is great. I went through all that difficult stuff. I had all my anxiety. That was really terrible. And this is it.
Yeah. This is going to make it all better.
Yeah. No.
I really want to ask, sorry, it's a little bit of a tangent, but I really wanted to ask, because of what you've been through in childhood, this might seem like a silly question now. Did that affect the type of person you went for?
Interesting. I think, and again, I want to be like kind, but I think in my marriage, I went a bit safer because of that. So yes.
Because it can go different ways. I've had clients who have had obviously horrendously traumatic things happen to them and they've had a certain type of father perhaps. They've gone the opposite. They haven't necessarily even done too much work on themselves, but they've kind of gone the complete opposite. So they, often we say we recreate our childhoods, don't we? We recreate what's familiar. We'll go to what's familiar versus something new that we're unsure about or haven't lived through before. We've survived. It was horrendous what we survived, but we survived it. So we'll go back to it. But I also have clients who go the other way and who go to something that is completely unfamiliar. So there's not always a silver bullet.
Yeah, I think I probably was more on the playing it safer, and then the French bastard was probably much more like me, and hence lit up certain areas that maybe, that kind of thing. So yeah, that was very hard.
Can you walk us through what the environment was like at that time and how that affected your relationships? And I'm always really keen to talk about like you as a mother as well, because when I went through my shittiest times, you can't give up being a parent. You have to continue and show up for them.
I write in the book, the acknowledgement is to Amber, the anchor in my harbour, and that's because of the storm. So and honestly, thank God for that girl, because exactly what you just said, there was no choice for me not to show up for her. I couldn't drink 2 bottles of wine a night, binge Netflix till 3 a.m. and sleep in. She was little, she was 3. You're up at 7, you're playing games, you're homeschooling, but truly thank God, because she kept me together. If it wasn't for Amber, gave me family when she turned up. She is like my entire world. She's the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time. And if I hadn't have had that, sometimes I look at friends that didn't have kids and I'm like, oh my God, I'd give anything to like not be there. Here we go again. Like more, let's do the solar system. Or let's go on another nature walk again, but actually, truly, I would have probably found a way through, but I'm so glad that I always had her as my anchor.
Yeah, that is just the most beautiful way to put it, because I can completely resonate with that. If I didn't have my children, it's particularly Sunday, because I always say that we went on the road of survival together.
Yeah.
And there's times where I feel like I feel guilt, because I feel like I've sort of put that on her and brought that into her life. But then at times, like, we are so connected on a whole different frequency and level. And when I went through, quite possibly the worst time of my life, I am so grateful that I had her, because she was my light.
Yeah. Like if you're really struggling, people recommend that you volunteer, you do something greater than you. Like Amber is, me being her mother, like it's greater than me. It's way more important than me, and like work in purpose. Or I'm sure you do pro bono. I do pro bono for the armed forces. Like that's way more important than.
I love that, by the way, because I feel like they don't get enough support. Thank you. Sorry, just a side note, but yeah.
So let's talk about your sunrise moment when you experienced a shift from coming out of the storm, and when things started to feel lighter. And by the way, I love the content that you do with, you include Amber in some of it with the whole good girl. Yeah. It's so brilliant, because for me, it's just like, yes, like how, because I'm interested in how, like, the woman sat here in front of me, like you are unapologetic. You are delivering and creating incredible content that I know has absolutely helped me and is helping others. Like, how did you begin to experience that shift to arrive to where you are at now?
I think, so when I can remember very clearly being like, right, I'm feeling quite out of control, anxiety, I'm trying, all these scenarios are going through my head. I'm really struggling. I got hold of the Untethered Soul, which was one of the best things that I've ever changed my life. Changed my life.
Yes.
Changed my life. And I was like, right, okay, great. This completely was the best thing for my anxiety in the moment.
Can you tell us a little bit about that book for those that don't know?
So The Untethered Soul by a wonderful guy called Michael Singer. Often recommend for grief, by the way, as well. I'm sure very good recommendation for grief for anyone struggling. But I recommend this to every friend of mine that's going through any kind of like transitional phase or something difficult. But when I was beginning to really experience anxiety, that book came into my life, and I do believe it did. I happened to listen to a Tony Robbins podcast on a walk around the south of France, and I was like, nah! And like I just kept seeing all the signs everywhere.
It found you at the right time. I think things 100%. Land for people at the right time when they're supposed to as well.
But it basically talks about how you can't trust like the chatter in your mind. It kind of is like, I think one of the lines is, I'm probably getting this a bit wrong, but one of the lines is like, think of a boat, now make it bigger, now make it blue. So I've just shown you that I'm controlling your mind. So you can't trust your thoughts. And it's like, right, okay. And it said, if you actually listen to the chatter in your mind, it's completely contradictory. One minute it'd be like, oh, you look lovely today. And then it's like, oh, look at your feet, or like, whatever. It's like, if you listen to it all day, it would be insane, and then it's like, that'd be the worst flatmate, which is your flatmate, that you're kind of listening to.
Flatmate you can't get rid of.
And this insane chatter, you'd be like, you're just mad. So when you're kind of listening to it, you're like, oh, right, okay, well, I'm not my thoughts. And then it says, imagine, I don't know, horrible, but imagine if I had my finger bitten off. I'd still be me. So I'm not my body and I'm not my thoughts. Who am I? And obviously the answer is, you are you, and it's like kind of you're the soul. And you go on this massive journey, and he talks about where people get triggered about, waiting in traffic and like things you can't control, and why people get so angry. And he talks about kind of all of our stuff being a bit like space junk that will get re-triggered. And even if I was an identical twin and I'd grown up and we'd gone to all the same colleges and universities and that sort of thing, I would still be different to that person, because I've seen and had events
only
happen
you
to
are
me.
you.
Exactly.
That's your superpower. There is no one else.
Exactly. And this book is just so free. It's beautiful. Anyone that's really struggling, I often will re-listen to certain chapters. It even says one chapter towards the end that I re-listen to a lot, which is like, if a man has kind of gone into a cave and locked himself away from the world, and, the day that he chooses to emerge again, the sun's going to shine on you. Like, so it's never too late. There's always
time.
Yeah. And so that was an amazing book.
There's always time.
Yeah.
You're still...
Where there's life, there's hope. So did you put these, what you what you learned from the book, did you start putting that into practice in your daily
I
life?
went back to basics. I call it stripping the engine.
Sorry, you was a therapist at this point.
Yeah.
So
I went back to basics. I was like, I teach performance coaching and therapy, and I'm like, I've got to apply this to myself now. Like, if I was talking to a client who is doing all the things that I'm managing, what would I say to them? And I would say to them, you strip the engine back. Like, you just literally, what are the only things that you have to do or the wheels will fall off? Everything else, parking lot. We'll come back to it later. So it was like, what can I control? The food I put in my body. So like, try and control my sleep or my environment. The people I'm spending time with. Honestly, I cut out quite a lot of people around that time. And not anyone that's bad, but there were people that I realized I was interacting with, and I would come away from the interactions feeling awful, like really depleted or just not myself. And I'm like, I can't do that for Amber. I can't come back having a coffee with you and then that's spending 3 hours impacting.
Just on that point, how did you do that?
I sort of was thinking about kind of my grandparents. My grandmother was my great inspiration. I was like, back in the day, they just sort of lost touch. And so
have you ever seen that meme of Homer Simpson just moving back into a hedge? Is it a little bit?
It was a bit like that. I just sort of
not in a cruel way.
No, not in a cruel way. It was boundaries, and it was just no, thank you.
Yeah.
So it was like and it's quite often I'd say, look, I just can't right now. I'm actually just not in a really good place. And a load of my friends that I really do want to keep, and I'm not trying to be like I'm great and no one else isn't. I just wanted to move towards that nucleus of people that I can be completely myself around, and I knew that I felt good afterwards. I completely trusted them. I trusted them to fall apart, to share good news, whatever it might be. And then the people that were kind of on the periphery, which on reflection I probably didn't feel completely safe around either, hence the energy pull, I just sort of distanced myself. And so now I have a life where I have my inner circle who see me absolutely every which way. I'm completely myself, totally unfiltered, very unhinged. And then there's kind of the step, and then there's like the rest of the world. Like, and everyone can have what I put out there, but I just need to keep that sort of sanctuary for myself.
I love that you call yourself unhinged, because it's often a word that is used. I've been called unhinged in my life, and I have taken it as offense, or maybe the person that called me unhinged intended it to be offensive. But I love that it's quite freeing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's unapologetic.
It is.
Unhinged.
I love that, what you said about relationships, because it's definitely something that I struggle with, and is quite relevant in my life at the moment, is that I find it difficult to let go of these maybe relationships that don't serve me. But what you're saying is we don't have to have this big breakup, or you don't have to dump the friends, or have this big, you can keep them on the peripheral. For me, that's music to my ears, because I haven't got the guts and the courage yet to completely, I can distance myself, absolutely, but to have that full cut off. So you can...
But we have that with shame, because you're meant to be a good girl. And so if you're not being a good friend, Ferne, then you're a bad girl. So you're good girling.
Talk to me about the good girl. I touched on it earlier. This is the content, if people aren't familiar with it, because I think it's so powerful. Tell me about that, because you are now creating content around that, and it lands and it speaks to so many people. Can you explain what it is and how you arrived at the place to then share it?
Yeah, thank you. I think because shame is this felt sense. Shame's really hard to put into words because it's felt.
It's really hard to describe, isn't it? It's a very core, it's very feeling based.
Yeah. So it's
I think, and it's at your core.
That's the limiting belief, but it's the felt sense, the I am. So
I am bad.
Exactly. So I don't know if we want to do guilt and shame now, because it's quite a good way to describe.
Yes, and at the top you wanted to
so
about the difference.
And I don't know, your take on this as well is, for me, shame is, and this isn't something I've come up with, you'll know this is very done, but shame is I am bad, guilt is, I should have done guilt first. Guilt is I've done something bad, or that thing I did was bad, whereas shame is I am bad. So it's that very sort of identity-based feeling about yourself, which is incredibly difficult to shift. And a lot of people as well don't know it's there. They're just maybe carrying out behaviors or thought processes, or withdrawing from things, not sharing things, and they don't even realize it's shame. but shame is often at the root of so many things.
I mean, I often use the example about motherhood. You know, I could be like, oh, babe, bit of a rush this morning, getting in, off to camp, school holidays, don't think I did my best job today, like a little bit rushed, like, you know, don't feel great about it. That's guilt. I said to you, and we've touched on this, like I went through a really dark time in my life and I couldn't be there in the way that I wanted to be for her. When I think about that, I think about how I am a bad mother. Like that is like gut wrenching. That, I mean, it's not true. I don't believe I'm a bad mother. But if I did, that shame, if I believed myself to be bad, if I believe I am not enough, I am unworthy, I am unlovable, I am weak, I am helpless, I am hopeless, I am broken, I am disgusting, I am terrified. These are things people say to me in my office when we're going to do EMDR. That's what they believe of themselves.
Hatred of oneself as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that shame.
That's shame.
And where does that come from?
So the shame is a stain often left on your soul from trauma of some kind. So, you know, I gave the example of my family sort of origin and it being very violent. And one caregiver's being violent, one's colluding and saying it was my fault. So I'm unsafe. And so I've embodied and taken on the belief that they've told me, which is I am bad and I'm unsafe. Shame can happen, like I say, from a lot of betrayals and breakups. How could I have been so stupid? I'm stupid. How could I have been taken in by that person? I can't trust myself. I am untrustworthy. Disordered eating patterns, OCD, control, I am disgusting, I'm out of control. A lot of the time I'm out of control when something's happening. Loss of loved ones. So it's taking on that event in our life. Usually there are some events that come in and typically they're revalidated. So more often than not, we have this good old shame sat in our system, and then there's opportunities in life for that to get, if you like, picking at the scab.
Do you know what's really interesting in the therapy room as well? People will almost always say an emotion like I've got anxiety, I've got guilt, I'm hurt, I'm angry. They'll almost never say, I feel this deep sense, at least to me, I feel this deep sense of shame because it's so painful sometimes that and sometimes they actually think it's something else as well. They think it's anxiety, they think it's hurt, but often what's underneath it is shame because it's so difficult to talk about. It's shameful to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see similar.
Yeah, definitely. I think probably people coming to me are expecting that we're going to go there. Yeah. But yeah, I think, so we'll get it a little bit more. But I mean, if we think about it like layers, you've got shame, which is your root, that's deep down. I don't want you to see my shame. So on top of that, we've got the inner critic, which is patrolling the shame to make sure it never comes out. So therefore, I better be more perfect. I better dress more like you. I better act more like you to be better friends. I better... Exactly. So we've got our perfectionism, our behaviours, and then on top of that, because I don't want anything to slip at all, I've got my anxiety up here being like going through every possible outcome, situation, solution, trying to have a, scripting, working it out in advance, something like that. So you've got the layers, if you like, but for me, until I addressed truly the root cause of my suffering, which was the shame, and when you can remove that from your system, you are flooded, and I mean flooded with self-compassion. And that is the liberation. That's the freedom.
I have been trying to think of something where I have experienced shame, and I'll be honest, I'm struggling. Is that because it takes a lot of work to get there?
Can do.
And because it's like an admission to your ultimate pain?
I mean, it can do. It could be, a lot of women have a lot of shame around sexual experiences, around sort of some time where we maybe didn't advocate for ourselves, where we accepted painful sex, we didn't name our needs, where we were in a situation or relationship maybe where we didn't experience pleasure, where we felt we wanted more and then we felt bad about, it can be so intertwined.
Yes,
in so many things, fertility, medical, where there's rank in systems, because the doctor tells you that and you go, okay, I'm sorry to bother you.
So how does one reclaim back their power from experiencing shame?
I think the key is to understand sort of and explore where it might be popping up in your life. If you're afraid of being too much, that's kind of one of them, which is, we've got this dichotomy constantly as women in particular, where be a boss, be a queen, go and do your thing, do everything for yourself. And then not like that.
Yeah, not too ambitious, not too much like that. Oh, rein that in a bit. Oh, okay. Then a little bit of the shame comes back. Yeah. Okay, actually, I need a bit of the shame.
Because no one ever told us what too much is. No one gave us the benchmark. So we're like Icarus. We fly too close to the sun, we get burned, we hide back away again because we might be rejected. And then, there's this whole thing about like, let's polish each other's crowns. And then sadly, very often it's another woman that will bring you down when you're trying something.
I sometimes think there's a bit of a thing in society where people think that a little bit of shame is good, or having shame in some sense keeps people orderly, controlled, keeps, not to make it about gender, but keeps women in line, stops them from being too much or too big.
I literally write in that book that I do believe that shame is the last bastion of the patriarchy designed to make us compliant, designed to keep us small. I genuinely believe it. Because
what do you mean?
It's like these old structures that if we fight one another, if we're too busy fighting one another, if we're compliant and controlled, if I'm afraid of being too much, if I'm a really sexual woman, I have an amazing boyfriend, I love it. I'm very deeply in my pleasure. I'm unapologetic about it. It's a hugely important part of my life. But if I previously felt too ashamed to talk about that, and, then I'm being, this is me giving an example, but I'm being very compliant and I'm being, I'm going to accept less in friendships and different things. I'm going to take scraps from people because I mustn't expect too much.
Because you don't deserve it.
Yeah, if I start speaking out about something, then I might be bossy or aggressive. And, it's all of this.
But it's used as a form of controlling that.
But do you think that you can say it with so much confidence? Do you think that, because for me, I feel like I wouldn't be able to say, even though I feel it, even this is a really rubbish example, but I sort of self-edit everything and I hate it. And I'm so excited about this podcast because I feel like it's going to allow me and us to have these unapologetic conversations. But I have self-edited, particularly since being in the public eye. Do you feel like fear gets in the way of being unapologetic to your true self?
I mean, that's a place that I would want you, and I'm sure Anna said the same, just to show yourself like an unbelievable amount of self-compassion, because you have been hurt by that has been a perpetrator of pain for you. So, that is somewhere that you need to be giving yourself a huge amount of self-compassion for. God love you, trying your best to keep you and your daughter and the rest of your family safe and look after people that need you, so you haven't probably been able to be yourself until now. It has not been safe for you. There have not been the environments, and environment is so important for any kind of healing, for you to be able to feel like that. So I think that there's so many parts, layers, pieces, and like this is a beautiful environment and set up and amazing people here that want the best for you. And I think I can feel that. I mean, the whole team's here, but I can feel that. But like, all the team's great. I do a lot of podcasts and everyone's here cheering, but it's not always the case. And you can pick that up. So for me,
we're big into energy as well.
Yeah, that's a big lump of huge self-compassion there for you for what you have had to endure.
Gonna make me cry. Yes. I think you're right. What is the personal cost in your eyes to not do the work?
I mean, I think for me, I didn't feel able to be myself fully. I literally settled for scraps in so many areas of my life. I never thought the life that I had now would be ever accessible to someone like me, when I believed myself to be bad and everything else that was going on for me. And that's the cost if we don't look at and face the shame, is just, you can absolutely have a shameless life, and it's never too late. A big lie from shame is it's too late. That's a massive lie shame will tell you, because as long as you believe you're broken, as long as you believe you're isolated, then shame wins every time. The reason I've done that book, and it's my story, it's my brave client stories, and it is raw and difficult to read. It's a difficult book. There's expert interviews in all the areas: sex, fertility, infertility, medical. I've got bariatric surgeons in there for body. I've got everything in there. Spiritual leaders, where, we can unpick the places that shame has been just dotted into our language and our life like a condiment. And it's so important. That's the reclamation, is just understanding kind of none of this is anyone's fault, but it's just been sort of sucked into our system. So the cost is, I think, some of this unconsciousness where we're limiting ourselves, and you really don't have to.
Yeah. So you can live a limitless life
and
when you are shameless and unapologetic.
There's just such a before and after. Like, again, I'm going to massively trigger warning this. There is a story in there with one of my clients, and it's about sexual assault. She was sexually assaulted at 10 by a teacher at her school, and her mother knew. and then never ever spoke about it, but would say, when this is so horrendous, and I was the first person she ever told. We did a session. I was the first person she told in 40 years. So she kept it in for 40 years, right? This secret, and tried to do, and did very successful in work, but like tried to outrun the trauma in all these different ways. And
it's going to resurface.
I want to know what it was. Sorry, just after that point, that the catalyst why she did seek.
Yeah. So there was issues in her. Had sold one company for huge sums of money, having a bit of an event of who am I, and just kept feeling this thing coming up. But I was going to say, when she was young, although her mother never discussed it with her, the police officer that came to after it happened was also a dad from the school. Like, I mean, it's just, this is like in the 70s, just like,
So police did come?
Yeah. Wow. So it was all, it was all reported. And back in those days, the perpetrator got 6 months. Even though, it's horrendous. Anyway, the whole thing's in here. And she even puts a message in about what to do. But the mother, after this had happened, would strip her and her sister naked and put them out on the street for neighbours to drive past and look at them. Yes, in her adolescence, yes. So there is so many.
That's so shocking.
It's unbelievable. Control.
It doesn't sound.
Shame.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of sexual shame, diminishment, punishment, and so
why?
As a way of control, as a way of
controlling. The narrative, controlling them.
Controlling behaviour, unable to manage, dominate, or just so many different parts.
And that's a prime example of where shame is used to control.
Exactly.
So.
But I want to say that I'm talking about it because we need to have these conversations, because this stuff has happened. That is an extreme event, but it did happen. And if we're not having these sorts of conversations, then people that have been through something similar won't have the courage to talk about things. I have people that read this book that are like, I've just fallen to my knees in Marbella because this thing that I've been holding in all this time, and now I've got the relief. And at the end of the chapter, she writes the most amazing, got goosebumps, message to the reader. This was never your fault. You didn't deserve what had happened. The first step is just admitting it to yourself. Just say it out loud to yourself in the mirror, in a car. Just tell someone. Then from there, go on a chat room anonymously. There are people want to help you. People want this to come out. And God love her. She has to stop herself now saying it at parties. Like, she's like, it's not appropriate conversation.
Bless her.
Because the reason I'm saying that is because she now feels so free and so liberated. She's got the most amazing partner. They're getting married in December.
Wow.
Like, she couldn't be more herself. She couldn't be happier. Like, she's literally come out of this kind of cocoon into who she was always meant to be.
She must just feel like the world is lifted
Literally.
off her shoulders.
And you see it in every part of her life is now in Technicolor. And she'll talk about that. So, I want people to know that whatever you think is too shameful, it's not. That's what I want people to know.
Yeah. Your silver lining moments when, so things were getting brighter and you worked on yourself, and I really want to know like your ultimate takeaways, because something that you said before we even hit record was that, which I think is so powerful, is you talk about turning your pain into power. Can you share a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So kind of, I think for me, the biggest moment that I look back to where it was kind of like the liberation. Obviously, I've done a lot of work myself, had lots of EMDR, did the training, but helping others is a huge part of me. The pain into purpose. I write it in the book. That's like turn that
pain into purpose.
Pain into purpose, and everyone else's stories is putting their pain into purpose. So unbelievable, so generous. I stopped being afraid of myself. Like, I stopped resisting me. I realised the self-harming, the busyness, the human doing rather than human being, always. And so I was like, right, I am going to literally in every single sense sit with this. I'm going to, I remember at the time there was like no one was I messaging, not even like a little, nothing, like complete. I don't want any distractions. I don't want any validation. I don't want anything other than this is my life and I am going to fully be in it. I'm going to completely find out what kind of mother I am. I'm going to completely find out, any skeletons, all the stuff, all the metaphors, I'm going to jump up and down inside Pandora's box and, make sure there's nothing left in there. And I did it. And kind of the weirdest thing is that was probably one of the easiest pieces of work, but the resistance, how long I spent resisting me, the energy, the effort, the time, the things that I did just to avoid being with me because I've been told I was bad, and there really was nothing to be afraid of. And as soon as I really met her, integrated her, whatever we want to call it. Like, I love my own company now. I crave my own company now.
Yeah.
I love being at home on my own. I love
that difference between feeling alone and lonely. Like there's a difference between being alone, and feeling lonely.
Yeah, because we're typically very rarely lonely in this day and age. Devices work, people around you. But being able to be happy alone by myself. I travel alone. Yeah. Like I went traveling alone quite a lot. Wow. I sat in restaurants alone.
And you can really get the cut of yourself by doing those. I mean, to some people, traveling by yourself could feel like the most daunting thing that you could ever do.
I get a lot of messages about that. I get a lot of people that are very, very, very afraid about, especially taking kids away on your own as well, because you feel, you can feel a bit like an alien, like, oh, what's wrong with her? Or whatever, or.
I think it makes other people uncomfortable sometimes. If they see you sat in a restaurant on your own having dinner, I think it can make other people feel uncomfortable, because I've been one of those people who's looked at other people on their own and felt uncomfortable. I don't now, but I have been that.
I really admire people that can do it. My partner does it and I'm like, I feel like I could maybe.
Yeah.
Annalie, do you find that your pain and your storm was the catalyst to finding out your purpose, how you describe it? For me, my worst times in my life, I can't imagine my life without them.
Yeah.
Because they have shaped and helped me to arrive to where I'm at now.
I say it and I write it in the book as well. I imagine you're going to empathise with this too. Like, I am not grateful for the harm that was caused to me at the hands of others. I would not necessarily choose it. However, it has made me I'm much better at my job. My book is what it is because of what I've been through. I'm able to sit with and be and hold pain for people that possibly others couldn't in certain regards. I know that people feel more comfortable talking about things because I share stuff so openly. And
that is a blessing.
Yeah.
And that is a silver lining moment.
Totally. And I wouldn't have the relationship that I have now had I not gone through it all. Like, I have the most amazing partner. He's incredible. Like, the relationship dynamic's amazing. And I would have tried to sabotage that before. Definitely. I would have felt in some ways, I don't know, not worthy, or he's like such a good man. He's an incredible man. I definitely would have found ways to sabotage it. 100%.
Final takeaways on anyone who might be experiencing or going through something shameful and they want to get to the other side.
Start by just saying the thing out loud to yourself. Somebody asked me, like, do you think people know what they're ashamed of? I'm like, let me tell you, like, it lives here. It's bubbling up every moment of the day. And we do the things, the activities, the band-aids, the validations, the external stuff, the crappy behaviors to try and push it back down. So find a place, a space, a professional, whatever it might be, to just say that thing out loud to yourself. And I did not deserve it. And that can be the start. That can be the beginning. But I really want to hammer home, as someone who had a life that was riddled with shame. I was so shameful. And now, like I said, I've just turned 44 and I honestly believe my life is beginning right now. I could not be more excited. So I really want to say to anyone who is, going through it right now, you will get through it. You can have a completely shameless life. And that is total freedom.
Annalie, thank you for being so unapologetically you and bringing your true authentic self.
Thank you. I just love we're bringing shame into the light as well. And I think you're doing it in such a powerful and beautiful way. And I think so many people are going to be thinking now, what do I feel shame about? And there's probably going to be something. So I just love that we're talking about it. We talk often about anxiety and depression and things like that. So I love that it's out there, because it's going to change people's life.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Thank you so much. And where can people find you?
The best place probably is Instagram, which is at Annalie Howling. Come and join. We've got a really nice community there. People will help each other out as well in the comments. So please do come. It's really nice. We've got a great Substack as well. Lots of videos of me. I do retreats, which are unbelievable.
I really want to come on the next one.
My retreats are amazing. And
did you do UK or abroad?
Abroad, but I'm going to do an entire year next year. So I'm currently sort of just finalising because with AI, with AI and everything else, I'm like, we need opportunities to disconnect from devices, connect to one another, be in awesome places. I'm going to do writing retreats, whether you want to publish or not, but just a way to work through your stories safely.
Oh, I need to do that one.
And there's going to be a very sexy one as well.
I need to do them all. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. That was that. Do you know this podcast for me? I'm on like the ultimate self-discovery because there was so much in that conversation that was really landing with me, and I was like, oh, you know, it's going to really touch and get into people, and you know, there's going to be, everyone is living with something that they're shameful of, and I almost feel embarrassed, but I'm going to nip it in the bud because I want to channel Annalie's unapologetic self. But I'm almost embarrassed of saying I can't really think of anything shameful, because I think we bury it so deep that we are not only, we're ashamed. Yeah. And it wasn't until we started to unpack and unpick and hear more from Annalie's personal story that I was like, okay, I've got something in my life that is so buried that I can say I don't think I'll ever be able to speak about it. But she completely shone the light on what is on the other side of shame, and it's living shackle free in this way that you can show up as, I keep saying it, but your unapologetic self. And that is so inspiring.
And I just love that we are talking about shame and we're bringing it out there, because it is something that, you know, we all talk about, like wanting to have control of our lives and wanting to be in the driver's seat and all of this stuff. But a lot of the time we don't focus on the things that we can actually do something about. And because it's so painful, we often don't think that we can, because it's so much and it's so big and it's huge, you know. But I think what Annalie was talking about was, you know, yes, working with a therapist, but also there's little things that you can do yourself, identifying it. We talked about you can't fix what you're not aware of. You can't change what you're not aware of. Separating yourself from the shame. So instead of saying, I am bad, I am the problem, I'm not worthy. We all do things that we don't like or don't think are, you know, necessarily that good. It's normal. The thing that I did wasn't that good. Mm-hmm. I'm working on it. I'll change next time. Mm-hmm. I've done something that I'm not that proud of. Just having that piece of separation between the identity, which is you, and your behavior, that's something that people can really start doing from now. That will just lift that shame, will just lighten that burden.
I really hope it has resonated with those listening at home. If it has, we would absolutely love to hear from you. If this has tapped into something that you have been shameful of and you have been bottling it inside, and this has given you the confidence and the opportunity to open up about it, and you feel like you want to share that with us, please get in touch, share us your thoughts and feelings. And of course, as always, please like, follow and subscribe to wherever you get your podcast. Thank you so much for listening.